Hello, my friends. I hope you're all healthy, well, and happy. It's not a very happy bookworm today, and I'll tell you why. Like in the UK and many other countries, we have lockdown here in South Africa, and certain areas have stricter lockdown measures than others. Now, I'm located in what is called the Garden Route, so we are within one of the hot spots, and therefore we have those stricter measures. But never mind that. The whole country now has a curfew starting at 9 o'clock at night, which means that all businesses like restaurants and movie theaters, churches, you name it, needs to close their doors at 8 p.m. Now that is fine, it's cool, except for one thing. What does one do after 8 p.m. at night? Well, dinner has been served, dishes hopefully washed, not always in my home though, but never mind. But we all are starting to wind down after a long day, after 8 p.m., and usually my routine is to go onto the internet and Google things for the next video, or maybe to sit and draw, or do some of my diamond art while watching other YouTubers. Or we watch a movie or a video, listen to some music, you name it, but we try and keep ourselves busy until we are ready to go to bed. But now, living in South Africa, guess what's rearing its ugly head once again? Yes, load shedding. Load shedding, for those of you who don't know, is a planned electrical outage which normally lasts 2.5 hours. Now, I've just received notification that as from 10 o'clock tonight until 12:30, there will be no electricity. So guess what? We'll be sitting in the dark, staring at one another by the light of a candle or the light of your cell phone, or whatever you have handy, until you can't keep your eyes open anymore. But it's not just about that. It had also been said that due to the lockdown and all the other measures and deliveries of goods, which has now been restricted, the country as a whole, and in our area as well, some criminals, those who had behaved themselves, had been let out of jail early, basically because they are battling to feed them, etc., etc., provide them with medication, and so on and so forth. Now, what do these guys do? They're now getting out of jail, and as is, because of their criminal records, they cannot or they battle to find jobs, and therefore no money, and they battle to feed themselves, especially in a country with an economy like ours, where we are already battling to provide jobs for everybody. Now, with the pandemic and the lockdown, it will be even harder for these people who already have criminal tendencies or not much of a conscience. It will be harder for these people to now sustain themselves. So, what are they going to do? Yeah, maybe out of desperation, maybe just because they have a criminal mind, who knows? But let's call it desperation. Out of desperation, they will turn back to crime. And these people will definitely not be deterred by a curfew, as 2 o'clock to 15 in the morning is in any event their favorite time to break in, pillage, and steal. So that is where we are. We are sitting in the dark and listening out for footsteps and sounds outside, and it is not fun. So yes, Bookworm is not a happy one today. So let's move on. I see in the news that Harry will not be returning to Britain for his 31st of March review with the Queen. And I almost feel like saying, I told you so, I told you so. I basically had a feeling that this would happen. And of course, Harry is using the pandemic as the perfect excuse. Not that it is, because as you and I both know, Harry has no qualms in jumping onto a private plane, and we also know that the royal family owns their own helicopter. So Harry could easily have jumped on a plane, taken the royal family's helicopter, and landed on his granny's lawn, where he could have self-isolated for 2 weeks at Windsor Castle and would have been served hand and foot until he was safe to come out of his hole. And by then he could have had discussions with his grandmother while all the while keeping a safe distance. But no, that is not what he wants to do. No, he's using the pandemic as an excuse to extend the inevitable. Well, I do hope it's the inevitable. Now, I've had this discussion on Instagram with others, and we are all in agreement. I think that it would be so much easier for Gan-Gan. Yes, Gan-Gan, that is what the Queen's grandchildren call her in private. And in my mind, and I'm in agreement with a couple of people on Instagram, I think it's time Gan-Gan sends dear old Harry and his wife a registered letter saying, bye, bye Harry, cheers, stay in the US, please do not come back, forget about your patronages, forget about your titles, we've had enough, have a good life, cheers, bye. Yeah, I cannot see why Gan-Gan cannot do that. After all, Meghan sent her wedding ring to Trevor Engelson back through the mail, so why can't Gan-Gan fire Harry and Meghan via the mail? I cannot see why. Maybe she can even arrange for a special delivery. That would be such fun. Anyway, let's get serious. I don't think the fact that Harry, or shall we call him has no balls, cannot go see his granny and all the while keep social distance. But if that's what he prefers, then why can't Granny just send him a letter and have him sign it and say bye? That is no excuse for taking those titles, taking those patronages, which I think will happen in any event. Just maybe not as soon as we would like it to happen. But I do think it is going to happen. This scenario cannot continue. Harry and Meghan are cheapening the royal family. We are all fast losing respect. We are all, as we've seen in different television series, and be it cartoons or be it on Netflix, we've seen that the world as a whole is now actually taking the mickey out of Harry and Meghan, but not only taking the mickey with Harry and Meghan, but the royal family as a whole. And this is not a very desirable scenario. So I think the time has come, and the fact that has no balls, prefers not to take a private plane is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think going through what we are going through, we actually need people like the royals to uplift our spirits, something which Harry and Meghan are not doing. So let's see, let's hope that the Queen and her advisors are actually watching social media, be it Instagram, YouTube, comments on newspaper articles, etc., and that we will have a definite decision regardless of whether Harry attends meetings or not, they can have those meetings via Zoom as well. And if they're afraid of security and those things leaking, then they can get a secure line and have those meetings via telephone. That is also quite possible. So there are just no further excuses whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here, but there is another one that's already in the making and which should be out within hours of this one. So I'm not even going to say goodbye. I'm just going to say see you later.